Join us for a review of the Volvo XC40 plug-in hybrid. Let's go! In the front, the Volvo XC40 already has a strong look. The front grille here in the Momentum and Momentum Pro trim, which that one is, comes with those vertical fins, all black. In the inscription, it would be chrome. That looks a little bit more elegant, but the inscription trim is also overpriced. So this one here, Momentum or Momentum Pro, is the way to go for. Then the Thor's Hammer LED signature. And full LED lamps come standard with the PHEV version here because it's also somewhat upper trim. 4 meters 42, 14 foot 4 or 174 inches is the length of the Volvo XC40. And you can see you can get it with the contrasting roof, but you can also go with a unique color style, and that's probably also what I would do. Or what's your take on that? You can get an extreme variety of wheel sizes ranging from 17 to 21 inch. Wow, but this is a good compromise. 19 inch is good for the styling, but still quite okay as for the riding comfort. Also bear in mind that if you go for the nice looking R design package, you get a sports suspension that will be, for my taste, too stiff for this vehicle. You can see the crossover wheel arches, so you still remain with this SUV look, and everything quite upright, still, wide windows and interesting shape right here. You get a design line here. Then the window raises there, so you have this additional area right there. In the rear we can see a quite clean design, this L shape of the tail lamps. Then in the rear they did not go for any fake exhaust, and I think that's good. That also keeps the design quite clean. Of course, all the Volvo SUVs, they look somewhat similar in the rear. So what do we have under the hood? Yay! Hydraulic struts we have! Awesome! Well, and this one here today, the PHEV, it's made to a 1.5 liter 3-cylinder turbo petrol engine. Total system output is 262 horsepower. There's a battery which is about 10 kilowatt hours in size, and the promised range is about 40 kilometers or 25 miles, the pure electric one. But it will be lower depending on the conditions. So it's not meant to be driven all electric. It's more like that you have this support, this hybrid mode, and those electric moments, so to say. Interesting Swedish flag here. I wonder how long that one holds. So here in the left front part, near the driver door, there's the charging possibility for the cable, and it's just a 3.4 kilowatt AC charger, but again the battery is not that big, so it won't take that long. But you can also just use the household plug if you just charge it overnight, and the fuel cap will be then on the opposite side in the rear. Highlight, wow, those seats right here. This is the Momentum Pro level. For the XC40 you can get base fabric seats, but also those extended fabric seats, let's call them that way, because they have the Scandinavian design with grey fabric on the inside, like a very high-class furniture from Sweden or Denmark. Oh, I shouldn't mention Denmark here probably. They're good in furniture, but the Swedish viewers won't like it when I mention it together with Volvo, right? Well, back to the seats. Here on the outside then you have leatherette, so it's also animal-free. And that's a really good, sustainable and animal-friendly solution, and I just love those seats. They look inviting and living room-ish. Steering wheel, quite easy and simple. round structure, and then on the side with the other Volvos you usually have it here in high gloss. This one here is matte and I prefer it. So this feels and looks better actually than in the more expensive Volvos. Left side for the cruise control, right side to control something of the digital instruments right there. Soon more details to the digital instruments, and when you look over to the right there, this is again this aluminum style decor element, which is also then again available in this matte bright wood if you pick that style. So probably I would take it with those seats here, with these seats, better to say these than those, with these seats, and then with the bright wood, if that's available, depending on the market. This is really very well done. And they are really very comfortable. So if you think about XC40 versus XC60, yes, the XC60 is a little bit bigger, but these seats here, they are already very good, very upright. And also if you compare this car here to those Segment Brothers by other brands, the XC40 already gives you a feeling, I'm a true SUV. I'm not like a crossover something. Now the interior overview, soft touch here at the top of the dashboard, those vertical air vents, soon more details to this 9-inch touchscreen, everything runs over that. Besides, the lower part here with the volume knob, that is still manual, and I like to have that because sometimes you want to tune down or up the music in a very fast way. Drive mode selector is here on the right side, and then you can switch it here. And in this case, because we have the hybrid one, also have the hybrid mode, or then power that everything boosts together. And then there's also this pure mode, and this will then predominantly get you to the electric drive. Now this 9-inch infotainment system up close, this is the GPS. And maybe you've seen, we switched to the car here for the infotainment system here with the matte wood, that you can see how it looks like also in combination with the screen, just for some more variation. And here it responds, quite okay, could be a little better, but could also be worse. I mean, you can very well use the GPS, no problem. Here again, this hotkey in the lower part, like with the iPhone, with the older iPhones, and then you can, for example, pick the Apple CarPlay right here, and let's listen to this sound system, which is actually quite cool, the Harman Kardon system, and great surround sound. So here with the XC40, Volvo said, well, let's not make the trunk that long, but let's already do a proper legroom, so when you move down from a bigger car, then you don't have any compromise here at all. And indeed, this really works also with the legroom if you're taller. So for 4 tall adults, no problem. And now to the trunk, which also has this foot kick opening mechanism. Quite handy if you have your hands not free. And we can see here is a quite good dimension, square dimension. Even though there's the plug-in hybrid, we still have some space underneath right there. And that's also where I would store the cable, and not like here in this, separate bag that's available. That this can be also fixed here, Welcome to Thomas's Driving Lounge, here with the Volvo XC40 T5 twin engine, the plug-in hybrid version of this one. This will also be available as pure electric, but today the PHEV. And the full potential of this PHEV you can rather play out when you have traffic situations and you switch back and forth. Of course, you charge externally as often as possible, and you have those situations when there's approaching traffic light, you leave the throttle. Then you can see there's some recuperation happening, gaining back energy to the battery. I hit the brakes and I see that the recuperation is being intensified. And only if I need more braking power, then the real brakes of the car are being applied. And different recuperation modes, I wish they would be available. The driving feeling itself is pretty light, so you don't feel the additional weight of the battery. And the car is, really nice to control. The steering feeling is, it's arcade-alike, so like in a computer game, it's direct, yes, but it doesn't give you the best feeling, so it doesn't have a good connected feeling. That's also a thing, the interior is really stylish, and these seats here, they are the best ones available, actually styling-wise. It's really cool. And the exterior is also, stunning, definitely. But the driving feeling, it's good and quite silent car, and it's a nice, comfortable ride, but you don't have this connection, which you would, for example, have in a BMW X1 or X2.
that's better than for the sporty driving, for example. But it always depends on the emphasis you put in, and if you're more fascinated by exterior and interior and so on, and why not? Also the room that's offered here in this vehicle is cool, and the seating comfort definitely as well. And now to some dynamic driving situations right here. Accelerating up the hill, now the 3-cylinder is giving a little bit more sound because it's definitely working a little bit more. And you do, of course, have an acceleration advantage if you compare it to the just 3-cylinder version without the electric drive, definitely. Well, why did they combine it with the smaller engine? Probably also cost reasons, emissions reasons, for example, as well. So the fleet consumption is definitely lower than in this case. So here in the normal hybrid mode, it already gives me some quite nice boost. Sometimes when you accelerate, you first feel some electric drive in, first coming, and then the combustion engine setting in. Also a typical, PHEV characteristic. And here in the power mode, more spontaneous as for the acceleration. And for example, if I'm planning like an overtaking maneuver or something, and I want it to be a little bit more boosting than when accelerating out. For example, there's the normal cruise control, and then there's the pilot assist. If you have this extended assistance systems package, and then the car is being kept in the lane, centralized, it's not supposed to be hands-free because that's also not there as for regulations. I'm just showing it to you here that the car really keeps it quite central, like in the middle of the lane, and that's indeed quite good, and this system works very well. Also with the distance to the car in front of me. Now I'm reducing the speed on my own because I see this car wants to get in. But now when I set the cruise control right again, then the distance again is being kept, and it also works, for example, in traffic jam situations. And as for the hybrid, is it, any different? Of course, when you're going just on the motorway and primarily using the combustion engine, then you carry around more weight than you usually do. Yet again, when you have situations where you reduce the speed, then you can get some battery back to the battery. So that's definitely again pro and contra, and I can again watch it here. The battery is sometimes giving me a little bit of boost, sometimes now when I'm rolling or when the ACC is reducing the speed, then again I'm gaining back some energy. So the question is, are you going motorway cruise control 100, 120 or even faster without any interruption? Then probably it's a disadvantage. But when you have a lot of interruptions also on the motorway and braking and accelerating again, then again the plug-in hybrid or that you have the battery, this will then again have a good effect.
And towards the end of our episode, what about the fuel economy? It's always hard to tell with plug-in hybrid vehicles because it so much depends on when did you recharge, how often did you recharge externally. So you cannot really, say 100%. What we can say is that when you're not relying on the power and rather doing like cruise control, motorway and so on, and mainly use the combustion engine with a little bit of recuperation. So that would be like the fuel economy when you don't recharge externally. Then you remain at about 8 liters on 100 kilometers, 29 mpg US, 35 mpg UK. It will get better then when you recharge, of course. Then you have also energy consumption, yes, and you also have costs at home, for example. But it will be better than in the fuel, and will be worse if you don't recharge and of course have more high speed and so on. So it really depends on the driving profile. And now to our conclusion for today with the XC40 here as the plug-in hybrid. First of all, from the exterior, it's a really cool car. It looks really strong in the front. You can have a lot of design options. Whether you like this contrast roof or not, well, that's your taste. I would rather like it, in a more subtle, uniform way. However, interior also probably the best styling in the segment here with the Momentum Pro trim level with those special fabric leatherette seats mixed with a Scandinavian furniture design. Really very lovely done. And overall also the space you have is really cool if you compare it to the XC60, for example, or also to some of the competitors of this one. The package this car is offering is actually very, very decent. Well, then about the driving, it is not so connected with driver, car and road, so there's no sporty driving feeling if you compare it to the competitors. However, Volvo internally, this one here offers quite a lot of driving fun and is already quite sporty, especially if you compare it to the bigger SUV brothers. The plug-in hybrid does only make sense when you are charging it externally, frequently, yes, and also when you have a lot of situations where you're on the brakes, gas again, and so on, when the recuperation really can be used. In most cases, it will not have a dramatic effect on the fuel economy, and in general, the Volvo engines, they consume a lot of fuel. So it is up to your driving profile if it makes sense or not. And of course, it can make sense if there are some governmental benefits in your respective country or if taxation is then better for you. For example, this will be a very big topic now in Germany. In general, about driving this one, it's a good, comfortable driving feeling, a good compromise between everything. Again, steering feeling is not that, connected. It's direct, but not in a sense naturally connected. That's maybe something this car has lacking if you compare it like to the German premium manufacturers. But other than that, and especially styling-wise and what you have on the interior, this can only keep up and is really now, in some aspect, top of the segment. So really interesting car. Pricing point, again, this will be about the taxation because it is a very expensive one, yes. Especially if you go for that inscription trim level, I would strongly advise against that. That's a bad price performance then. Here the Momentum or Momentum Pro, that's then the trim levels to go for. So, thank you so much for tuning in today. Hope you enjoyed it together here with us, and tune in next time.